sound there. All right, there we go. So coming down 3, 2, and 1. Well, Steve, welcome back. Mayor's Monday here at WSAU, WSAU.com. Great to see you again. I know we're again not in the same room. You're in your great office there at the former bank building down in Marshfield. I'm here. Well, in my imagination, I'm at Angel Stadium in Anaheim. I'm actually in my office. But that's the magic of Zoom. We can have fun with this every now and then.
That's right.
Yeah. So give us an idea. First off, obviously, when we're talking Marshfield, we are not talking to a mayor because you have no mayor right now. So just give us a quick update as to where we are with that process, because I know you're without a mayor right now, and that's kind of on purpose.
But yeah, after Mayor McManus was removed from office back in March under Wisconsin statutes, the council did vote in April. They had three choices. Again, they could either have a special election for the mayor to run for the rest of his term through April of 22. They could decide to have the council president continue to do that for the year and just kind of do the baseline duties. Or they could appoint somebody. They could actually take applications, have people come to the podium and say why they thought they'd be good, and pick somebody. The council, I think, rightfully rejected the idea of appointment because they were largely the same people who removed him from office. So that might have appeared kind of odd to some people. And they looked at the cost of a special election and decided against it for 1 year. So they did decide that Nick Paschal, the new council president, would be sort of acting mayor in a sense, at least doing some of the official duties with running the meetings and signing official documents. And we would do that through a year. Now, in the summer, we actually had a presentation by the League of Wisconsin Municipalities about other forms of government. The council had asked to see what else is out there. We have a weak mayor system, but other places have a strong mayor system, a council manager form of government, other ideas. So we did have a presentation on that and some Q&A. I've not gotten any indication from the council since that meeting that they're looking at modifying from a weak mayor system anytime soon. So what we're looking at is people filing as of December 1st for the position of mayor and not having an incumbent. I suspect we might see a few candidates.
Yeah, so December 1st, you'll start taking those applications, and then and anybody obviously within city limits over the age of 18, not convicted of a felony, anybody eligible to run, it can have at it.
Yeah, you're right. And typically when we have an incumbent, people are more hesitant to file. They'll think, well, you know what, I'll run for office when that person steps aside. But with no incumbent, I think it's very possible that we might see multiple candidates, but time will tell.
So if you do then get multiple candidates and get enough people in there like that, how will the primary end up working out, or have you not decided that yet?
Well, we went through this back in 2018 when we had three people file. At that time, it was Rebecca Spiros and Tom Witzel, two of our council members, along with Bob McManus, who wasn't part of city government at that time. So we had an election in February to narrow it from 3 down to 2. And then in April, we had the final one to select, and it ended up being Bob McManus. So I think it's very possible, if not likely, I hate to say likely, but that we will have a primary in February to narrow the field down to 2 finalists.
So then for people that are interested, should they be getting maybe some campaign materials ready right now to kind of get the ball rolling then in December when they can take those petitions out?
Yeah, I mean, certainly you can't start circulating papers to get signatures yet, but yeah, if you're thinking about it, you might be talking to people who know how to do this, and what kind of game plan you might have to get the word out about who you are, what you stand for, maybe some flyers or some other promotional materials for yourself. I know it sounds kind of weird to some people listening right now because we're still in August as we record this, but it's not that far until December 1st, and 90 days goes by pretty quickly. So it may be competitive, and I think that may be a good idea.
All right. Well, again, we'll look forward to seeing how this goes. And once those petitions start circulating in December, because, for people that want to get involved with politics, get involved and, maybe change the way the community runs, or there's something they see that can be better, this is the way to do it. This is the very grassroots level of getting involved in your community.
Yeah. And there's literally no experience required. I mean, sometimes we see people run for mayor that have been on one of our committees or part of city government in some way, but that's not an expectation. And we've had mayors through the years. Bob McManus was one who didn't come up through that system. So if you're interested and you meet those baseline qualifications, it's open.
So yeah, well, again, we'll certainly be following that as we get closer to December 1st and closer to early January when those nominating petitions do start circulating. I know you and I talked a little bit off air here about some of the things that have happened this summer down there. It's been a while since we've gotten the chance to talk to you, but first off, you are experimenting there at City Hall with what a lot of people call the summer hours, the summer schedule, maybe giving your crew a little bit of a break on Fridays during the summer. Give us an idea where this discussion has come from and how the grand experiment of closing at noon on Friday is going.
Well, yeah, really the genesis for this came from the fact that our frontline staff, and here we have a nice building that kind of has a nice half circle. When you walk in, you can talk to people in planning and zoning or clerk's office or finance. But they were talking to each other and they realized that, we're not really seeing very many customers or anybody else come into this building on Friday afternoons during the summer. Surprise, surprise, they're probably doing the same thing we all want to do, which is get off to their cabins, camping, enjoy Wisconsin while you can, right? Summer goes by quickly. So the idea came that maybe we could look at whether or not it was possible to close early on Fridays. Well, lo and behold, there are other communities, including some in this area, that are doing it. And the employees still work a full 40-hour week. Work it out with your supervisor. Maybe you go without a lunch, or maybe you stay later or come in early. But the idea being that it's a nice perk for the employees. But more importantly, why are we open at 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon on a Saturday? On a Friday, when there's no one to serve here. And so far, the first 2 weeks have been very good. It's a 4-week pilot program. It'll wrap up here soon as we get to Labor Day. And then I'm bringing a report to the council on September 14th, where I'll share with them what went well, what problems we encountered, and they can discuss whether they'd be interested in actually looking at it more permanently in the future. I know they'll have questions. Even approving the pilot program was 7-3, and several of the people who voted yes made it clear that it was an experiment and they wanted to see what happened.
So in your role as administrator, did you ever dream then that you would be bringing a report to the city council about the number of customers you serve on a Friday at City Hall?
Probably not. And I've been in government for a really long time, and I think sometimes you just take it for granted that 3 o'clock on Friday afternoon, you're working at your desk and you're not hearing many people in the front counter area. But we realized, when it was brought to my attention, and I did a little looking around and saw that there's other cities and villages that are closing at noon, I thought, well, maybe this is a real possibility we could explore. And so looking into it, it seemed like it had merit as long as we can get the work done and meet the citizens' needs. Now, we have been tracking how many people have come to the front door and pulled on the door and wonder what was going on before they read the sign. But it's been a very small number, and those people appear to have gotten a hold of us on Monday or been able to do their business online. And I must say that COVID has made a difference that way too, because people have learned during COVID that they can do a lot of things at home that they didn't realize in terms of online getting permits and so forth. So it's all kind of come together, and the trial actually has gone fairly well.
Yeah, and I think another thing that you're probably looking at with this as well is this is another perk for your employees to be done early on a Friday, to maybe have Friday afternoon to get some things done that they don't have to put off until the weekend, or just even the luxury of being done at noon on a Friday for the work week. That's something that I don't think you can overlook as far as an employer goes, because that's going to help you attract and retain talent, as they say these days.
Very well said. The last couple of years, especially, we've been battling some financial challenges and some tough budget decisions, and sometimes we can't give the employees the level of wages and benefits that we'd like, and they understand, and the employees understand that we're dealing with some things that we have to work through. But here's something that doesn't cost anything. It's a way of telling our employees that we care about you. You want to get away and get up to your lake cabin or whatever it is. We're going to make it work. If you're willing to work with us to put the hours in and get your work done, we'd like to see it be a possibility for you to have a little bit of time off on Friday afternoons during the summer. So I really do think it's a win-win if the citizens are okay with it. And so far, the complaints have been really almost non-existent.
Yeah, we'll certainly look forward to that final report then coming up in September, and see if this is something that that ends up be staying in the city charter or the city ordinances, and becomes a thing, as the kids say these days. There we
Yeah.
go. There we go. That's what the kids are. At least that's what I'm told anyway. One more thing before we let you go. Of course, we are doing this once again on Zoom, and like so many other people, we've discovered the benefits, the likes, the dislikes about being able to meet remotely like this. And that's something that you are also tracking as well, as far as meeting attendance goes for the alders on the council. What does the future of using Zoom for city meetings look like for you down there in Marshfield?
Michael, right now, we really don't have anything in our code that allows it. The only reason we've been doing remote participation or allowing people to be part of the meetings by Zoom has been the whole thing that came from COVID, safer at home, the governor's order, even encouraging at first municipalities to not meet in person. But now it's time, even though we're still dealing with COVID, it's time to make a decision as to whether or not we're going to make this permanent. And if that's the case, we have to adopt a policy of some sort. And then the question becomes, how open to the idea are we? Are we just going to allow someone to participate remotely if they have an emergency, a health issue that has them, stuck in their own home, maybe a work requirement that has them having to travel to Minneapolis or Milwaukee for their company, but they're sitting in their hotel room and boy, they want to weigh in on these key issues remotely? Or are we going to be more flexible than that and say, hey, what's the difference? As long as you're able to participate. I think we want to have some guidelines and some limitations. It's always better to have the person in there in the flesh. That way it's easier for the citizen at the podium to look that council in the eye and say, look, I don't think you're doing this right. And what are you going to do about it? But it's become a remote world. More people are doing Zoom than ever before. And it generally works unless we have technical glitches. So I get the impression that when we revisit this again in September, we're doing a little background work on it right now. I think that there's a fair openness to, within reason, allow more remote participation in our meetings, not just by the council, but by staff and the consultants who work for us.
So does that mean then going to the council president, or if you happen to have a mayor at the time next year at this time, I guess you could say the mayor, and saying, look, I have to be in Minneapolis for a work presentation. Can I remote into the meeting on Tuesday night from my hotel room? Or does that, just mean that you, I guess, just remote in without asking for permission first, ask for forgiveness instead, correct?
Yeah, no, and it is easier sometimes to do that, right?
Right.
I think, that what I heard in the first meeting in July, of course, we'll revisit it again when they start looking more seriously at this in September, is that you would need to talk to the council president or the mayor, whoever's in charge. And one of the members of our council, Ed Wagner, said he would like to see us develop a standard called good cause. So we'll let you do it for good cause. Well, the only concern is, and I'm not criticizing Mr. Wagner, he's an outstanding member of our council, but what good cause is to Michael might not be considered good cause to Steve. So we have to get a little bit of parameters on it. I think work, going out of town for work is going to do it. I think being stuck at home, battling illness is going to do it. There may be some other things where it's just, I'm at my brother's house in Eau Claire and I just don't feel like coming home tonight. That might not look very good. So it'll be interesting to see what they put as parameters and expectations on in-person attendance. I do think it's good to be able to participate remotely. It certainly helps us with attorneys and consultants because, we get charged by people driving from Madison or Milwaukee to City Hall. Well, we can save that cost. How far they go with the people on the council, I think is still up for grabs.
Yeah, and that's, I think, a real interesting discussion as well, because that's something that, well, it may not be our favorite, it may not be our preferred method. It's certainly not my preferred method for making these connections and doing these interviews. I'd rather be able to meet you down at City Hall, but it is something that you can't deny the convenience of, even if you do sacrifice a little bit here and there.
Yeah, and in the last whatever it's been, 16 months or whatever, we've really had very few technical glitches. We've had a couple times when the audio, was a problem. We've worked through it, but I mean, absent that, the person's able to fully participate in the discussions and the votes.
Mhm. And again, we'll watch and see where this goes, because I think again these are a lot of real interesting discussions. And again, add on top of that the fact that you've been doing all these and making all these policy changes, without a mayor per se, without that mayor's leadership in Marshfield, is certainly something that a lot of people have taken an interest in as well. So I'll just before we let you go, ask you about your job the last few months since Mayor McManus was removed from office. How have things been going there at City Hall? Has it been smoother than you expected at times?
I think it's gone very well, all things considered. I've taken on a little bit more myself. The council president, Nick Paschal, has done an outstanding job of filling in the void. He's done some ribbon cuttings, and he's certainly been here to talk to staff as necessary. But there is a little bit of a void when you don't have someone who is mayor and who's doing it on a broader basis. But I think that the staff is all pulled together. We're very happy to come out of the time when there was all that instability back in the early part of the year. We had the police chief who resigned. We had the mayor being removed from office. Things have settled down, and we're able to get back a little bit more to the heart of our normal business.
And of course, not only that, then is that a testament to people like you, but it's a testament to all the people there in City Hall that things have been going smoothly, and that you haven't had any major glitches or major emergencies to deal with during this time.
Well, true. And one of the things we're very blessed with is some very senior type, and I don't mean old, okay, but people who've been doing their jobs as department and division heads for quite a while. And as a result, they've been able to do things without as much need of mayor involvement as needed normally. So they know their work, they know what they have to do to get it done. And I wouldn't have wanted to have been in this circumstance with people who were all in their first couple of years of employment. That's been a big help. We have a great staff here, and they've really pulled together.
Absolutely. Well, and I'll tell you, the one thing I don't like about Zoom is people can see just exactly how little hair I have here, and the fact that I only like to shave, maybe once every week to 10 days or so. And then all of a sudden, everybody actually sees what this looks like behind the microphone.
Well, I think you look good and you look comfortable, and I like the baseball look. So.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Well, Steve, we always appreciate the time. We'll look forward to chatting with you again later on here before the year's up.
Sounds great, Michael. Look forward to that.
All right.